Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Woodle. I am a student at UMass Global who's seeking to obtain an autism credential here in the state of California. For this week's video journal, I will be talking about the evidence-based practices and reflecting on the phases of autism in the IRIS module. So I am quite familiar with almost all of the evidence-based practices. I think there's 27. But something that I learned this week is that there are 5 evidence-based practices that are referred to as foundational strategies. And that was helpful because I kept coming back to those ones. And while, yes, I do like social narratives and behavior intervention plans and many more daily of the evidence-based practices within the classroom, the 5, the reinforcement, prompting, modeling, time delay, and task analysis are really at the root of everything that we do within the classroom. And they're part of almost every intervention and teaching strategy that we use. I teach all of those to my staff. Time delay goes really nicely with prompting because we don't want to be over prompting or overloading students, and that's probably what I see the most with new staff who want to use communication to get through to students who are in the classroom, but sometimes that's not necessarily the best. Instead, it's to deliver a prompt and then wait. We talk a lot about wait time, and we try to say like, okay, count 5 seconds and then observe the student and notice, are they ignoring you, or question, maybe they're processing. Other ones, task analysis, we break our activities that we have to do every day into smaller tasks, and then we take data on which part of the task is the student having the most difficult time with, and we celebrate when the student shows success with one small part of the task, such as loading the dishwasher, or unpacking their backpack, or putting on their shoes, or some skill that's usually associated with activities of daily living. We use reinforcement all the time, all day. And we use varied reinforcement. Sometimes we use a token economy system that's specific to the student's schedule. We also have a classroom reinforcement design. And then we do informal reinforcement also, which is some kids really love high fives and fist bumps, but some students love verbal praise and when you make a really big verbal reaction, but not every student likes that. Again, with the prompting, we use a prompting hierarchy, so we're trying to use the least amount of prompting possible, and all day, every day, we use modeling. So if a student is having a tough time, we'll go through, we'll model, and then we'll have the student try to repeat it. That's ultimately where we'd like to get, but if that's too difficult for the task at hand, we do use task analysis and we break it down into smaller pieces. When I reflect on the page 8 of the IRIS module, Phases of Autism, I'm able to recognize a lot of the students that I've had in the classroom in the students that I saw videos on. Tyler reminds me a lot of a student that I currently have in my class. Dylan and Mia had, I think, the biggest impact on me. I know a student who Dylan reminds me of, who very similar history, where he also was diagnosed as gifted, and in some ways he truly is. I think it was Dylan had the ability to recall past conversations, and the student that he reminds me of that I had in my class could tell any person what day of the week they're born on, just based on the month, day, and year. And he would go back, and within seconds he would say, that was a Wednesday. And that was pretty remarkable. And he can also remember phone numbers. If you tell him your phone number once, he'll have it forever. He doesn't need to write it down. He just has it. So in those ways, he kind of reminds me of Dylan, and he's also very well spoken, just as Dylan was, in that he can tell you how he succeeds, things that he likes. I liked what Dylan said about he wants a classroom that's open, and what I thought he meant, I still think is true, but he wants the ability to be creative, seems to be what he was saying. And I think that most students really do benefit from that. So providing students with structure is incredibly important, but also having contrived choice is really important too, so that you can transfer control over what is possible to give students control over, so that they can do and make choices that work best with them and work best with their learning style. So I really appreciated that about what Dylan said. Mia, his sister, reminds me of a student who's in my class who struggles to identify the social contexts and the social cues, the nonverbal social cues that are available. And I like that they were using a social narrative for that. We use them very often in our classroom, and that is definitely a strategy that I use with the student who she reminds me of. I really enjoyed this part of the module because you get to relate what we're learning to the students that we know and love, and that's helpful. So when we are able to use our schemas to make connections to the information that we already have, along with the and connect it to information that's being presented, I think it's really helpful in the learning process. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate the personal stories, and it's a reminder of why we do what we do. Thank you.